Yes. Sexy, sexy.
Hello everyone, this is another episode of Aiva in the Kitchen, and today I am with Moiz. So Moiz, what are we doing today?
Today we are going to make biryani, which is one of the most popular dishes in Pakistan. If you ask anyone from South Asia or Pakistan what their favorite dish is, most people will say biryani. It is an explosion of flavors in your mouth. It is amazing. It is a rice-based dish with chicken in it, and I also add potatoes. And yeah, I think it's quite a process, but it's really fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
It is quite a process, guys. It's several steps, but I have tried before and it's really, really delicious. Can you tell us, when do you usually eat biryani?
So usually it's a very festive dish on Eid or other events like a wedding or a birthday or something like that, you would eat it. But also there's some families that have it once a month or once a week. It is something that actually has its history in the Mughal Empire. So this is almost like the food of the kings and queens that they were eating in their castles. And now this has become very popularized and everyone can make it. And yeah, I mean, it just basically is a perfect representation of Pakistan and South Asian food on a plate because it has all the components that make Pakistani food so good.
So he promised he's not gonna make it too spicy for me, but I'm gonna feel like a queen and try it. So what do we have here?
So I divided the ingredients in 3 parts almost. So we have the base ingredients here, which is chicken, rice, and potatoes. Then we have oil, of course. Then we have fresh ingredients, which is tomatoes, an onion, some ginger and garlic, which these 4 things are the base of most Pakistani dishes. And then we have some lemon, some chilies, and some mint and cilantro. And we're gonna actually use half of these in the dish, and then we're gonna use the other half for a chutney. So we're gonna make a sauce for it as well. And then we have all these dry ingredients / spices. There's a lot of spices in this dish, but what you can always do, which is what my mom did as well all my life, is that she just used a recipe mix already from the store. So I actually like doing both. So I will use some whole spices because I actually want to add to the flavor of this packet. Like, it already is pretty good, but why not even make it better? So yeah.
So we're gonna have the 4 stages plus the chutney.
Yes.
So let's go with stage number 1.
Great.
All right, guys, now we go with stage 1, preparation.
Great. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually de-skin our chicken. In most Pakistani foods, we don't have chicken with skin. And actually, when I moved to the US for the first time, I was very shocked that there was so much skin on the chicken. And my host dad in the US, he taught me this technique for taking the skin off chicken really easily. So you grab a piece of paper towel and you hold your piece of chicken and you actually grab the skin with the paper towel, hold on to the flesh, and actually just rip it off like that. So this is the pretty easy way to do it actually, because otherwise it's very slippery and you might not hold on to the skin. So that's what I'm gonna do basically to all the chicken pieces. Okay, so what I'm also doing actually is I want to wash the chicken and I want to show you another way to take the skin off. If you don't want to use paper towels, this is a slightly messier way in a way because you have to really get into it. But if you have running water, so you turn the water on, and as you're washing the chicken, you can actually use the water to help you take the skin off as well. So we have the chicken piece and we have the skin, and meanwhile all the pieces are getting washed as well. Okay, so we have all the chicken pieces that I've de-skinned, and I'm just gonna run the water, kind of rub them a little bit. As you can see that the water has quite a few impurities. So what you wanna do is just drain this water. And I'm gonna do it one more time, just to get any impurities out. Because, you know, it's from the store, you don't know where this chicken has been. I don't know its life story, and I just want to have clean chicken. So, and you just drain it, and that's basically it. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the marinade of the chicken. This is not technically a very traditional step, but I really believe it works and it gives a good flavor. So we have 4 major ingredients in this. So tomatoes, onions, ginger, and garlic. And I'm gonna use a blender later on, or a food processor, just to make my life simple, because I don't wanna spend, hours chopping everything. So let's do it. So I'm just gonna show you one technique that I use to peel ginger, which I learned from some YouTuber, you actually use a spoon, and this is the way to prevent wasting your ginger. And with a spoon, you can actually just like peel off the ginger, and this way you don't waste a lot of the flesh, but you still get the skin off. So now we have the ginger piece, so I'm going to just make big chunks just to make the work easier for the blender. And I'm just gonna throw it in. Let's do the garlic. So I have a whole bulb of garlic here. I'm just going to take out the cloves, and I'll show you my favorite technique for opening garlic as well. There's a lot of debate about what's the best way to peel garlic, but I think this one is the easiest. So you just take your garlic clove, you have a knife, and you just press down, and it should just come off magically, basically. You have your garlic clove nicely peeled. So that's, yeah, again, so you have your garlic clove, you press down, and the more you squash it, the easier actually it gets to peel. Okay, so here I have my onion. Again, I don't want to cause myself tears, so I'm just going to bake big chunks and throw it in the blender. And I think I'm going to use the whole thing, why not? The onion actually helps tenderize the chicken really well. You can not put it here because we're gonna put onion later on in the form of fried onions, but I think it works. And then we have some tomatoes, so I'm going to use, let's say 2 tomatoes. And again, just making big chunks to fit in the blender. So here we have everything, put the tomatoes in. And here we have some chilies. So I like my food not super spicy, but I want the flavor to be enhanced. And actually what chili does in any dish, it actually enhances the flavor because it opens up your taste buds. So I'm just gonna put a few of these, just taking off the head and putting the chili in with the other vegetables.
How many chilies do you put right there?
I'm going to put, for this quantity of chicken, I think I will put maybe 3, because I don't want people to, you know, sweat and spend tomorrow cursing me in their toilets. So so we have here all the vegetables that we need. So we have our ginger, garlic, onion, tomatoes, and red chilies, or green chilies, whatever you find. And now I'm actually going to put some yogurt here as well. So yogurt is also a very important part of this recipe, and especially for a lot of curries in Indian and Pakistani cooking, because it helps basically bring everything together. So I'm going to put, let's say, about 3 tablespoons. And actually I have the recipe for this, so I will just share the recipe with you so you can post it in the YouTube description. So now we're gonna close it up and blend it to make our marinade. Okay, so we're gonna prep the chicken before we put the marinade on. So what I like doing, whether I'm roasting chicken or I'm making curries even, I like poking with a fork or a knife, just so that the flavors penetrate the chicken well. And while I'm preparing the marinade, I'm actually going to let the chicken sit in some lemon juice. So this will help start the tenderizing process. And this works out time-wise because while you're making the marinade, it gives about 5 minutes for the chicken to have some lemon juice broth, I want to say. So I have some lemon here. I'm also going to put a little bit of salt. One good tip for cooking in general is that you should season as you go. So if everything in your recipe is seasoned well, it will all come together really nicely. Okay, so we have the chicken in lemon juice and salt, and we're gonna make the marinade and then put it on top. So here we have our chicken, which has been sitting in the lemon juice and salt. And here we have our blended marinade. And I'm going to put the spices in now. I don't like putting spices in my blender because that might stain your blender. So it's better to just do it in the bowl. The main spice here that I'm using is a packet of seasoning mix. So it's a chicken biryani packet. Usually I like using the Bombay biryani flavor, but I didn't find it and I don't think it really matters that much. So I'm gonna use this packet. So here's the seasoning packet. So I'm just going to go in I want to say about half of this because I will add my own spices as well. So usually if you're making this at home and you just want to use the full packet for this amount of chicken, which is about 1.5 kilos, you can use the full thing. But I'm going to put half of this here. Then I'm going to add some cumin powder. This will just augment the flavor a little bit. And you can, as a general rule, add like about two teaspoons of everything that I'm adding. I don't measure because this is how most Pakistanis cook. We don't really measure our spices. We just go by feel. And this is a special thing that I love using in my cooking nowadays, which is dried mango powder. This gives a really nice citrusy flavor to meats, and it also helps tenderize really well. So I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of that. And then I'm also gonna put some chaat masala, which if you are used to South Asian food, you know that we have a lot of street food called chaat. You can see different examples here. And we have the seasoning mix for that. But I also like using it in cooking and curries because again, it gives a really tangy flavor. And anytime I can get a tangy, citrusy, acidic flavor in anything, I love that. So I love citrus in my food. So we're gonna mix it all together and then leave the chicken to marinate. So here we have all of our chicken with the marinade and the spices, and this is going to rest while we do everything else. So let's move on to the next step, which is preparing the rice. So now we're gonna prepare the rice, which just means that we're going to rinse the rice until the water runs clear. I'm using basmati rice for this recipe, which is the typical rice used in Pakistan as well. I'm going to measure about 3 cups. Just use whatever cup you have. So about 3 cups of rice, which, you know, as you know that when you cook rice, it doubles in volume. So this is going to feed a lot of people. So here we have the basmati rice and we are going to rinse it in cold water. So I'm just going to check the temperature of the water. Okay. And we want to be really gentle. If we are too aggressive at this stage, it's going to break our rice and we don't want that at all. So just kind of gently mix the rice with the water. And as you can see, the water has turned cloudy, which means that the starch is coming off from the rice kernels, which is what we want, because a good mark of a Pakistani rice dish is that the rice should be fluffy and separate. Each grain should be fluffy and separate from each other. And again, I'm going to repeat this about 4 or 5 times until the water is almost clear. And this is how I know that I washed the rice enough.
All right, now we go to stage number 2, which is cooking,
Yes.
right?
So we're going to prepare the curry. This is stage 2. We're going to cook the chicken, almost fully cooked, and then we're going to boil the rice in stage 3, and then bringing it all together. So once the oil is hot enough, I'm actually going to put some whole spices here because I want the oil to get flavored, and that flavor will be imparted on everything else that we cook in this oil. So I'm going to go in with some bay leaves, let's do 4, why not? 5. 5 bay leaves. I'm going to put, I would say, about 5 cloves of 5 cardamom pods. So this is a very strong aromatic spice used in South Asian cooking and other cultures as well. I'm going to break them to release the seeds, which have all the flavor. And then I'm going to put some cloves. So this is also a spice that is very common. And there's some clove powder in the biryani masala mix already, but I'm trying to highlight the flavors that are already there, and I want to make them even better. So I'm going to put about 7 or 8 cloves. I'm going to just shake the oil a little bit to help get everything working together. So the oil is hot. You can see that it's starting to bubble now. The spices are starting to fry. You got to be very careful because spices can burn really quickly. So I'm just going to give it about 10 to 15 seconds. Then I'm going to put in potatoes. So this is also a big debate. There's many versions of biryani. Some people hate potatoes in their biryani. Some people love it. I am from the latter group. I love potatoes because I think they take on all the flavor. And when you eat biryani with potatoes, it's really amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry the potatoes a little bit in this spice flavored oil. So I think this is enough time for the spices. So now I'm going to go in. I have peeled potatoes. I would recommend peeling potatoes for this recipe. Sometimes I don't peel potatoes for other things, but here you want like the cleaner cleaner potato experience, so to speak. Okay, so we have our potatoes here. They're a little bit fried, so about like 2 or 3 minutes. I just want them to develop like a little crispy exterior. And now we're gonna throw our chicken in. So this is the chicken.
It's like this now, marinated. So
okay, so the chicken has been cooking for about 10 minutes. As you can see, the yogurt released quite a lot of water, so now it's starting to look like a curry. But I'm gonna help it along with some even more yogurt. So I'm going to put about 2 more tablespoons. Let's do 3. Why not? 3 more tablespoons. So we did 3 tablespoons in the marinade, and now we're putting 3 more. And this is the real lifesaver, time saver part of this recipe, where I actually am using already fried onions. When you make this recipe in Pakistan or India, you actually cut the onions, you take a lot of onions, sometimes 5 to 6 onions, and you fry them for about 30 to 40 minutes until they look like this. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to save time, so I just use already fried onions, and I'm going to put quite a lot. I want to put about a cup actually. And this will actually really flavor the curry really well. And we're going to use some later on as well when we layer everything together. So about a cup of onion now. I'm also putting in some cashews. This is not very common, at least in my family, but I like it. And actually it goes back to the Mughal times where, because this dish was eaten by the kings and queens in the court, they would put really expensive dried fruits and nuts as well. And so I am doing something similar. So I'm putting these cashews.
about the rice with Moiz, we said that he's gonna let it sit with the water all this time. And he said that makes actually the rice to need less boiling. So it's interesting because we have left it as it was after we rinse it. So it stays like this all of this time that we've been cooking the chicken.
Okay, so here we can see that the curry has come together really nicely. There's plenty of liquid. I tested a potato and the potato is almost cooked, and that's where we need to be right now. I'm gonna put this ingredient, which maybe is really unfamiliar to most people, but this is dried fenugreek leaves. And it adds a really sort of nice fresh flavor. And I'm gonna put about 2 tablespoons. And I'm also going to put like about a tablespoon of chopped mint right now. You can also at this stage put some cilantro, but I'm not gonna do that right now. But you can put some herbs now, and then we're gonna put more herbs when we layer it with the rice.
All right, that's stage 3, and now we're boiling the rice.
Yes, so I want to flavor the water a little bit with some spices. So once again, I'm going to put some bay leaves. This time I'm also putting cardamom, but I will not open them because I don't want the cardamom seeds in the rice. So I'm just going to put 2 cardamom pods. And then I'm going to put a little bit of salt. So keep in mind that the curry that we made is already quite salty, but I just want the rice to be seasoned as well. A little bit, not too much.
Right, guys, now we have here, before we go to the 4th stage, the assembly, we have this amazing curry. We need only 1 minute more for the rice, and we have here some greens, coriander, and mint that we're gonna add soon. But now Moiz will show us how we know that our rice is perfectly done.
Yes, so we are gonna use a spoon, take a grain of rice, and just try to break it up. So without even much pressure, it kind of just breaks apart, but it's not mushing yet, right? So it's not mushing, and this is perfect. I'm not gonna cook it more, so I'm gonna turn the heat off, and we're going to drain it in a colander.
All right, guys, stage number 4, the most exciting part. We're gonna assemble everything. Now here we cut some fresh meat and coriander. We're gonna put some extra butter, and it's gonna be amazing. So let's do it.
Great. So we will first put a layer of curry on the bottom. And I'm using a fairly big pan for this. And by the way, I should mention that in Pakistan or India, we don't have ovens. Most households don't have ovens. So people actually make this on the stove. And the idea is that you layer everything together and you let it marry, basically. All the flavors get to know each other. And it steams for about 20 minutes, and then it's ready. We're building layers of aroma and taste now. So we have the curry, which is kind of spicy. Now we're going to put the fresh herbs. So there's the mint. I'm going to put half of the mint now, and then here's the cilantro. And then I'm actually going to put more fried onions.
It's gonna give it the crisp, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'm also going to put lemon juice. So I'm just going to squeeze half of a lemon juice now. So you can see we already have so much going on. There's fresh herbs, there's lemon juice, there's fried onions. So there's no way this can not taste good, basically. I'm going to cut some knobs of butter and just put that in. So this is, again, sort of a Western touch to this dish. You could put ghee, of course, if you have it. But I find that the butter gives a really nice flavor and helps the dish become even more beautiful. So this is it. We have our layered rice and chicken and herbs and lemon juice and fried onions and butter, which is a lot. And now we're going to cover it and bake it in the oven for about 20 minutes.
All right, guys, let's see the final result. All right, guys, now we have the biryani inside the oven, and we would like to make some chutney because Moiz says that we can put it as a sauce next to it with yogurt. But
yes.
Please explain a little bit more.
So in Pakistani cuisine, we have a lot of sauces called chutneys, and you can make chutneys from very different things. The most classic one is minced cilantro. So that's what we're doing today, and it just gives a nice sort of added thing to your biryani. Biryani already has a lot of flavor, a lot of different, things happening, but this chutney is just another thing on the side that you can add. So we're gonna start. I'm just gonna chop the mint and cilantro just again to help my blender. Okay, so we have our herbs here, and what I'm gonna do actually is I'm gonna build it in a way that there is liquid at the top where the blade will be. So sometimes when you make chutney, the blades will not run because if you put the leaves where the blades are, you have to add water for it to get going. But if you put yogurt at the end, as I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna build it, it's going to be pretty okay. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the herbs. This is going to be a little messy, but because I have a small blender, but basically just stuffing the herbs in it. All the herbs are here, and it looks like a lot of herbs, but once it starts blending, it's all going to get
and how many chilies you put there?
I'm putting 2 just out of consideration for people.
For European
European taste buds.
Taste buds, yeah.
But you know what? I'm gonna put 3 because this is the mother sauce, right? So you can add more yogurt and calm down the spice. So we have our chili, mint, and cilantro. Now I'm going to put 2 cloves of garlic. And I hope you just edit out this part.
And if you don't have garlic, can you put like garlic powder?
Sure, yeah, you could definitely put garlic powder. I think the fresh stuff really is really nice, and it might seem weird like you're eating raw garlic, but when it mixes with everything else, you don't really notice it. But it adds a really nice pungency. It's almost like making like aioli. Mm-hmm. When you add garlic, it's okay. And Irini, would you please help me out with some black pepper? So just some cranks of black pepper. And then I'm going to put a bit of coriander powder. So these are the basic spices. I'm putting about a teaspoon each of cumin, coriander, and then some black pepper.
But we put already the chili, so we don't want to put a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
And then, once again, because I love chaat masala, I'm going to put some chaat masala here as well. So the thing with Indian food is that, of course, if you buy the spices in bulk, it seems like it's an expensive thing to do, but everything uses the same spices. So you can use the same spices in many, many different dishes. So I'm just going to put about a teaspoon of this as well, because this gives a really nice tartness to the chutney. Now to help the blades, this is really just to help the blades get going, we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of yogurt. And that's it. So now we're just gonna blend it. Okay, so we have our chutney here. As you can see, it's turned into like a really dark green color. And I just want to show you what it looks like. So this is what I call the mother sauce because I will now dilute it with yogurt. So I don't know if you can see it, but this looks very dark green. And it smells amazing. You smell the mint and the cilantro and the lemon. Yes, and so I'm now going to put some more yogurt. And then this will become just more chutney.
I mean, the yogurt is going to make it like not so spicy,
yeah.
More creamy.
Exactly. And the rest of it I'm just going to put in the fridge.
We're gonna try it, and we have also a tasting group that they will tell us if it's actually worth it, all of these hours that we are here. So let's go and serve it.
Yeah.
Right now, he said that this is the best moment. Let's see.
This is the time we've been all waiting for, the reveal of the biryani. So, I hope you're ready.
Ooh. This beauty, hello.
And what we need to do now actually is to gently mix everything together. So I'm just going to go.
All right, guys, let's dig into it and try.
Let's try it.
Get one with potato as well.
I will take some meat.
Amazing, as expected.
It
Did you?
It is spicy for me, I will not lie.
And I'm going to take some chutney.
I'm gonna try with chutney as well.
Because it's so hot right now. So
I feel like it's hot, but the spice hasn't hit me yet.
Really? Okay.
Maybe it's just the Pakistan.
and then we will serve it with some salad as well. So this actually also helped cool it down, cool the spice down.
Oh no, the chutney doesn't help. It's more spicy now.
Welcome to Pakistani food.
Oh, it's delicious. It's actually I like the different flavors. We had all this talk, like a lot of different flavors, and I thought that the cashews, for instance, would not match, and it's really good with it. I was gonna get also a little bit of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph, you want to try? We have another tasting person. Tell us.
This camera's shy.
It is really fresh from the mint and so on. It gives a good contrast.
Yeah,
to
contrasting
the richness
flavors.
of the dish.
So, if you like this video though, also like Moiz's Instagram.
I have a food Instagram that's called Moiz Eats the World. So Moiz Eats the World. And you can find the recipe for this biryani on my Instagram, and we'll also share the description, the recipe in the description, so you can find it there as well.
Just follow, guys. See you.
I'm, this is hard work, like
No.
making a video in a way, like because
yeah.
my brain is like, of course I want to focus on the recipe, but I'm also focusing on like.
Oh, I thought
Did
it
I-
was like it's a statement. I thought with a question mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now he has to say that I'm cutting the onion.
Okay. Oh shit! I already cut it.
You
No, it's
cannot
fine, it's fine, it's
reconstruct
fine.
it. It's okay.
Okay, so now I have my onion, and I'm just going to cut.